In the dust-choked heat of Haran, Abram paused at the edge of his father's courtyard. The morning sun gilding the mud brick walls. A hush enveloped him, the hush of lives about to change. At 75 years old, Abram felt the weight of the moment, yet his heart thrummed with an unseen summons. The Lord's command echoed in his mind. Go forth from your country, from your kindred, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. His wife, Sarai, with her quiet strength and steady gaze, stood by his side. Beside them, Lot, his nephew and companion, adjusted the knotted straps on their packed animals. Abram drew a deep breath of Haran's mingled aromas, dried figs, livestock, and the faint smoke of cooking fires, and stepped forward into the unknown. Their caravan wound southward, past rugged hills and ancient oaks, until it reached the plain of Moreh at Shechem. There, the land stretched open, olive trees, punctuating fields that whispered of fertility. Yet Canaan's inhabitants watched from a distance, weary shapes against the hills. Under a lone oak, Abram paused. He knelt in the red earth, his cloak pooling around him, and erected an altar of rough stones. Palms pressed together in silent worship, he felt a surge of divine reassurance. This land, though foreign and fraught with uncertainty, was promised to his descendants. When he arose, dawn painted the western sky in rose and gold, the first promise fulfilled, even before he fully understood its dimensions. Further on, near Bethel and Hai, Abram pitched his tent beneath a sky vast enough to cradle every star. He built another altar here, calling upon the Lord's name as the olive trees murmured in the breeze. Each stone he placed bound him more deeply to a faith that surpassed sight and reason. The promise of rain and bounty soon met the harsh reality of famine. Dust rose in choking waves across Canaan's parched soil. Goats and sheep grew lean, their ribs etched like shadowed ridges. With his family and herds in peril, Abram faced a stark decision: remain and starve, or seek refuge in the wealthy land of Egypt. After nights spent wrestling in prayer and weighing his options, Abram led his company southward. Each day their shadows lengthened across a landscape, growing ever barer, till finally the veil of heat gave way to the fertile banks of the Nile. Egypt unfolded like a dream spun of gold and water. Irrigation channels glinted under the sun. Sedge and reed lined the riverbanks, but danger lurked beneath the promise of plenty. Abram feared for Sarai's safety, her beauty known to draw both admiration and envy. In a moment of human frailty, he implored her to claim kinship rather than marriage. Tell them you are my sister, that it may go well with me for your sake. When they reached the outskirts of Memphis, Sarai's striking features quickly drew attention. Word traveled to Pharaoh's palace, and before dawn's first light, Sarai was escorted into royal chambers. Abram was treated with favor. Flocks, herds, silver, gold, all presented as gifts, tokens of the king's esteem. Yet darkness stirred beyond the limestone walls. Plagues, swift and severe, fell upon Pharaoh's house. Sickness among livestock, inexplicable fevers, sapping vigor. Servants whispered of a curse tied to the foreign woman. Alarm spread like wildfire, and Pharaoh summoned Abram, fury and fear warring in his eyes. Why did you not tell me she was your wife? With a heavy heart, Abram reclaimed Sarai, and the king bade them depart with all they owned. Rich with Egyptian gifts, yet humbled by divine discipline, Abram retraced his path into Canaan. The land greeted him with a flush of green new shoots sprouting where famine once reigned. But prosperity brought its own peril. Cattle multiplied, tents sprawled wider, and tensions simmered between Abram's herders and those of Lot under a canopy of stars. Abram and Lot surveyed the grazing fields. Oils and bullocks for both threatened to spill into strife. Abram turned to his nephew, voice gentle as dawn. Let there be no strife. If you go left, I will go right. Okay? If you go right, I will go left. Okay. Lot's gaze drifted eastward, where the plain of Jordan, rich and watered like Egypt, beckoned. Okay. he chose that fertile valley, pitching his tent near Sodom's walls. Abram watched Lot's caravan fade into the distance, the dust plume receding like a trailing memory. Solitude reclaimed a man, yet it felt like a release. Abram journeyed to Hebron, ancient as time itself, where he built yet another altar, stones rising bold against the night sky. In the quiet, he listened for the Lord's voice once more. Beneath the stars of Hebron, Abram's heart swelled with the same assurance that first stirred under Shechem's oak. The Lord appeared and spoke, "To your offspring I will give this land. From the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, a promise vast as the heavens, stretching beyond Lot's chosen plains." Abram fell to his knees, the earth cooled beneath him. In worship the man held fast by a covenant that would shape generations. You might next explore how Sarai's identity evolves and how her name changes to Sarah in later promises. Consider the moral complexities of Abram's deception in Egypt and how it shapes later narratives. Or dive into the archaeological backdrop of Haran and Hebron to see how history and faith entwine in these sacred landscapes. What resonates most with youth, bold obedience, the human doubts, or the quiet reaffirmation beneath the stars? Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. God bless.